They thought beating a black girl into a coma in the middle of a high school hallway would silence her forever. But what those bullies didn't realize was that their cruelty had awakened a storm, one carried in the heart of her mother, a storm that would tear down an entire system built on privilege and silence. It started on a chilly Tuesday morning at Brookdale High, the kind of school where money talked louder than morals. Aaliyah Brooks had only been there a week, 7 miserable days, but already she'd learned one thing: the stares never stopped. Eyes followed her like she was an uninvited guest in a house built on secrets. That morning, she felt something off. The air was thicker. The laughter around her wasn't just gossip, it was a warning. Then came the voice that made every muscle in her body tighten. "Hey, new girl." Standing in front of her was Bryce Keller, captain of the baseball team, son of the town's golden family, and self-proclaimed king of Brookdale High. His smirk could make teachers flinch. And behind him, his loyal crew: Dylan Frost, Logan Hurst, and Tiffany Monroe, all dressed like privilege wrapped in designer jackets. Bryce swung his bat lazily against his shoulder, like he was auditioning for a villain role he already owned. "You lost, sweetheart? This is my hallway." Aaliyah froze. The crowd gathered, phones went up, the vultures ready to feast. And in that moment, one thought echoed in her head: this is it. They're really going to do it. But what no one saw coming was that this hallway beatdown would ignite something far bigger than high school drama. It would trigger a war that even the Kellers couldn't buy their way out of. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Bryce's smirk widened as the hallway crowd closed in. He flicked Aaliyah's bag out of her hands, sending her book sliding across the tiles like confetti for his cruel little show. "What's in here?" he sneered, kicking a notebook aside. "Plans to actually fit in?" Laughter erupted. Tiffany pulled out her phone, shouting, "Go live! This one's gonna trend." And just like that, the crowd turned into an audience. The bat slammed against the lockers with a deafening clang. Each strike echoed like a countdown. Aaliyah's heart pounded. She bent to grab her books, but Bryce kicked them away again. "Who told you you could walk through my hallway?" he snapped. From the corner, a teacher, Mrs. Alvarez, froze mid-step. She saw everything: the bat, the fear, the phones, but she didn't move, not 1 inch, because crossing the Kellers meant crossing the people who paid her mortgage. "Hit her," someone yelled. "Make it viral." And that's when Bryce swung. One brutal strike, and everything went black. When Aaliyah woke up, she wasn't in a hallway anymore. She was in a hospital bed, surrounded by machines that beeped like tiny heartbeats. Tubes ran from her arms. Her body was still, fragile. But the world outside was moving fast, and not in her favor, because by morning, her hospital chart had already changed. What once read blunt force trauma now said accidental fall. Accidental fall. Can you believe that? A girl nearly beaten to death, and they called it an accident. But then, that's how power works, isn't it? One nurse whispered to another orders from upstairs, and everyone in town knew exactly whose name sat on those orders: Keller. While Aaliyah lay unconscious, the cover-up began. The principal smiled for cameras, the school released a statement, and the truth, buried under money, fear, and silence. But that's when someone new walked into the hospital, someone they should have never underestimated. Her name? Naomi Brooks, Aaliyah's mother. And trust me, she wasn't there to cry. She was there to fight. Naomi Brooks stepped into that hospital like a soldier returning to the battlefield. Calm, cold, and dangerous. Her combat boots hit the linoleum floor with purpose. This wasn't just a mother visiting her child. This was a storm wrapped in silence. She stood beside Aaliyah's hospital bed, her baby bruised, unconscious, wires running like vines. Naomi didn't shed a single tear. She just leaned down and whispered, "I've got you, baby. And I swear to you, justice will be ours." The staff exchanged nervous glances. They'd seen grieving parents before, but this was different. Naomi wasn't grieving, she was calculating. First, she demanded the medical records. The nurse hesitated. I'll have to get approval." "Then get it," Naomi said, voice steady as stone, but approval never came. Everywhere she turned, brick walls, camera footage, system was down. Incident reports, under review. Even the police seemed too quiet. Can you imagine? Your child lying in a coma and everyone's pretending nothing happened? But Naomi wasn't the kind of woman to take no for an answer. That's when a familiar voice called from behind her. Naomi? She turned to see Ethan Ward, the school's security officer, and one of her old trainees from her army days. He didn't waste time. They're burying this, Naomi. Principal Douglas Harper and Vice Principal Carl Benton, both on the Keller's payroll. You'll need proof no one can deny. And as if fate was listening, that proof found her. Later that night, Miss Ramirez, the school's tech teacher, appeared at the hospital, eyes red, clutching a flash drive. My students back up every live stream, she whispered, even the deleted ones. If you want the truth, it's all in here. Naomi took the drive. Her hands trembled, but her eyes burned with resolve. One by one, the cracks in the system started to show. Teachers, students, people tired of being silent. She stood in the hallway, looking through the glass at her daughter. They want to call this a fall, she murmured, but I'll show them it was an attack. They want silence, I'll give them a storm. And just like that, the war began. By Monday morning, whispers tore through the halls of Brookdale High like wildfire. Rumors of Aliyah, rumors of Bryce, and rumors that his mother's money couldn't hide what was coming. Principal Douglas Harper strutted through the corridors, pretending everything was fine. Fake smile, sweating under pressure. But when he walked into his office, Naomi Brooks was already there, waiting. She dropped a folder on his desk. Explain this. Inside, the falsified hospital chart. Mrs. Brooks, I assure you. Harper started, but Naomi cut him off. My daughter didn't fall. She was attacked, and you helped cover it up. From the corner, Vice Principal Carl Benton shifted in his seat, tie trembling between his fingers. The cameras were offline, he muttered. There's nothing we can prove. Naomi leaned forward, her voice low but sharp enough to slice through the lie. Then why does this log say someone manually disabled the cameras 5 minutes before the attack? Benton froze. The silence in that office was heavy, the kind that only happens right before everything explodes. Because that night in the media lab, Miss Ramirez's students pieced together fragments from deleted live streams. Clip after clip loaded onto the screen. Bryce shouting, Benton carrying a trash bag that clearly hid the bat, and the swing that started it all. The next morning, the gym was packed for a student assembly, but nobody knew what Naomi had planned. She stepped onto the stage beside Ms. Ramirez and plugged in her laptop. First, the maintenance logs, then the footage. The crowd gasped. Phones came up. The lie that Aliyah fell shattered in front of everyone. Bryce's smirk vanished as his own crime played on a 30-foot screen. Parents shouted, students cried, and then the chant began, Justice for Aliyah! Justice for Aliyah! Naomi's voice rose above the chaos. You can silence teachers, you can buy officials, but you cannot bury the truth. That single moment tore down the Keller family's empire of lies. By nightfall, Justice for Aliyah was trending across every platform. The police stormed the school the next morning with a warrant. Phones seized, hard drives taken, emails exposed. Messages revealed everything. Harper, Benton, and Richard Keller had conspired to cover up Bryce's assault. And buried behind the gym, detectives dug up the bat. Still stained with blood and paint from Aliyah's locker. One by one they fell. Harper, fired and arrested for obstruction. Benton, cuffed and humiliated. Coach Myers, banned from ever working again. And Bryce Keller, charged with aggravated assault, tampering, and conspiracy. 2 weeks later, in that same hospital room, Aliyah opened her eyes. Naomi was right there, whispering, You did it, baby. You made them pay. But the story didn't end there. Naomi teamed up with civil rights attorney Rachel Green and other parents to draft a 12-point reform plan: body cams, whistleblower protection, automatic police alerts, and strict penalties for evidence tampering. Lawmakers passed it statewide as the Aliyah Initiative. And 2 years later, a bronze plaque gleamed in Brookdale High's main hall. The day Aliyah fell was the day truth rose. Aliyah now walks those halls again, head high, unafraid. And Naomi? She stands not just as a mother, but as the woman who turned her daughter's pain into a movement. They thought they could silence one black girl. Instead, they awakened a storm that burned their lives to the ground. If you believe the truth always wins, no matter how deep they try to bury it, hit that like button, share this story, and subscribe to Voices Unchained, because justice doesn't hide forever.